When you think of Congressman Cory Mills, you think patriot, you think veteran, and you remember the stories of Cory Mills going into countries and saving Americans that the Biden regime left behind. But, folks, there's a Cory Mills that we don't really know, and it's got my jaw hitting the ground. And thanks to the great reporting over at The Blaze, who has now done 4 stories on Congressman Cory Mills. In their first story, they uncovered the fact that Cory Mills, well, the individual who officiated his first marriage, was an individual who was a senior official for the Muslim Brotherhood. He is also listed as an unindicted co conspirator in the 93 World Trade Center bombing plot. So, how does a terrorist end up officiating the wedding for Florida Congressman Cory Mills? Well, the Blaze is doing all the digging, and now they've got a twist to it, which it now brings in the FBI into all of this. So, joining me to discuss is Jill Savage. She is one of the great hosts over at The Mandate over at The Blaze. Thank you for your investigative reporting in all of this,
Yes.
because this is important, right? We see that Cory Mills is someone who we all highly respect, is doing some questionable things when it comes to his marriage, for example. I mean, it's not something that one would accidentally stumble upon, right? Someone who is a radical Islamist, someone who is high up in the Muslim Brotherhood, officiating his wedding. How did you guys stumble upon this? And I'm hearing now that the FBI is getting now involved in this, but there's a lot of questionable circumstances around that. So break it all down for our audience.
Yeah, so the FBI piece is our latest story that just came out today. So I'm sure we will definitely dive into that. But how we all got here, Brianna, it's an interesting web, and it's been over the last few months. If you go back to February, there was an alleged assault at his DC penthouse with his now girlfriend, Sarah Raviani. Now, both of them now claim that nothing ever actually took place there, even though she had bruises on her arms and the police were there. No charges were ever filed. But that is the first thing that said, this guy that we think is such a good guy, well, maybe we should look a little further. So this is when somebody said, if you think this is interesting, you should go look at the marriage certificate. So I looked at it. You brought it up there. And of course, he's confirmed this with Blaze News that he was married by Mohammad Al-Hanooti, who is a radical Muslim mufti there in the DC area. Now, Cory says that he had to do this because, one, his mother-in-law wanted them to be married by an Iraqi. Okay, sure, you're going to make your mother-in-law happy, but Brianna, why would you go through and start with the mufti of DC? If all you needed was an Iraqi, like this is like the cardinal of the Catholic Church. And then you go through, and his other explanation for this is that his wife wasn't technically divorced under Iraqi law. So when she was going to be traveling back there, they would not have looked at her divorce by saying that she was, legally free and clear, divorced of her husband, and that she had, she was getting married to another man. And so there would have been a lot of misinterpretation. So Cory needed to do whatever he needed to make sure that she was safe when she was traveling back to Iraq. So it's been an interesting web. And we put that story out, and then his now girlfriend, Sarah Raviani, put out in the Daily Mail later that weekend that everything that we published was entirely untrue. Brianna, she said, no, we pray together in private. He's gone to church with me and my family. He doesn't need to pretend. Well, okay, that's interesting, except for the fact that Blaze News and myself personally have talked to 5 people who say back in 2014, Cory Mills told them personally, and one of them went on the record with us saying that Cory Mills told him that he had converted to Islam. Now, I will say the other 4 are still not coming out publicly with their names because they are pretty afraid and terrified of Cory. That's what they tell us. They don't want their name associated. They don't know what the backlash will be for this, but it's an interesting web that we started to uncover.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you start to dig into all of this, because there's a lot of questionable circumstances. And it's not just the Muslim angle to all of this, although I did get a good chuckle at he did respond for comment when you guys did reach out. And I believe the word bigot was used, so he lost me there with that. But ultimately, I find it very interesting now because you put this out, and now the FBI seems to be circulating and coming around and talking to people who might be your sources in all of this. But the interesting part is it's one agent, if I understand correctly. And then the FBI
Mm-hmm.
also gave you a statement that has me scratching my head.
Yeah, so the FBI is involved in this in an unusual way, Breanna. So we did a story on stolen valor because Cory Mills, his cornerstone of his campaign is, "You should elect me. I'm a veteran. I was blown up twice in Iraq, and I'm a great businessman." Now, Cory himself told our reporter Peter Giedel on the phone that he was not blown up twice in Iraq. He said the first time he got a concussion, and Peter said, "Oh, okay, sure." And then he said, "What about the second time? You weren't blown up in that one?" And he said, "That's correct." So that part of the story is taking on a life of its own. But then we reached out to all of our sources in the stolen valor story, and we come to find that there is a woman, a female FBI agent, who is questioning these people. We have three of them that we have personally talked to. And they said she went through and she wanted to know all of the stuff about stolen valor with Cory. And she eventually got to the point where she said, you know what? We've determined that there's enough plausible deniability there. We're putting that one to rest. But what do you know about his business ventures? Right? And then it was just an unusual thing. She was coming there. She wasn't even showing up in person. She was doing a lot of this over the phone and text messages. It wasn't two people at the door, Breanna, like we normally would see. It wasn't a lot of in person. And then the time that it was in person, she went through and she was just sitting there at a Starbucks with one female, and she was just sitting there listening to her tell the stories like you and I would be sitting here talking. Now, if it was a congressman that was under FBI investigation, there would be even more rules, Breanna, than there would be just if they were looking in to you or me. So our sources said, something doesn't feel right about this. What if we're the ones that are actually being investigated? And we did get that comment from the FBI. After we told them this story, the FBI said that, quote, "We are not aware of the conduct in question, but will review the matter immediately." They told us back on May 16th. "As always, any unethical behavior will be addressed swiftly and appropriately." And a spokesperson added that senior leadership was made aware of the situation.
Hmm. Well, that sounds interesting. That sounds very, very interesting. It sounds like they didn't know. This is speculation that they didn't know what was happening, and this FBI agent might have been reaching out for fun on their own behalf. But you can't do that at the agency, and we've got different leadership now, so you definitely can't do that now. So that will be interesting to follow. And Joe, I'm even more interested in this, and I've tried making several attempts to reach out to Speaker Mike Johnson's office, but it's important for our audience to know that Congressman Mills is on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, which is a big one given this bombshell report, and he's also on the Armed Service Committee as well. So this is a big one. We need to be digging into this even further. I'm looking forward to your report as it continues to unravel here. Jill, I think we got to everything. Is there any types of, because I know you got more bombshells coming soon, anything you kind of give us a little hint to?
I mean, this is the craziest story that myself, Steve Baker, he comes on your show a lot. We have conversations and we're like, what is going to pop up next? Because when you think that you found the end of one of these rabbit holes, Brianna, it gets even more interesting every
Yes.
single time.
Yeah, it does. It does. Jill, thank you. Guys, can check her over at The Mandate, over at The Blaze. Make sure you give them a follow. Jill, thanks for jumping on with me today. This was a great report. I appreciate all your hard work. We've got to start supporting companies that support us. And if you haven't done so already, I've got a simple thing you could do right now. You can head on over to Patriot Mobile, take a look around at their website because, folks, I made the switch. It's been actually about 2 years. I didn't even realize it's been that much, but it's been 2 years since I made the switch over to Patriot Mobile. And, folks, the service is incredible. I'm still using the same towers I was previously using, but I'm paying significantly less. And the best part, is they're not a woke company. They are going to be putting their money where their mouth is too. They're not just saying that they support conservative causes. They're actually donating to things like pro-life, Second Amendment, and so many other incredible causes. So head on over to patriotmobile.com and listen, don't just take my word for it. Use that code BRE that you see on your screen, promo code BRE. That's going to get you 1 free month of service. I'm telling you, there's no change in service. Oh, the only thing that actually might change, I'm lying to you, their customer service, it's not based in India, folks. It's based here in the great USA. When you call, you're speaking with someone who speaks English. If that's not enough to sell you on, I don't know what else will. Head on over to patriotmobile.com. Use that promo code BRE. That's promo code BRE. Get a free first month of service on me when you use that code BRE. I'm telling you, you're not going to regret it. patriotmobile.com, promo code BRE.